Good evening, the late update now from ITV News in the Central region. And first, a former West Midlands police officer says he believes there's been a conspiracy to prevent the truth emerging about the men responsible for the Birmingham pub bombings. Bill Craig, whose brother died in the terrorist atrocity, claims to have been told his old force knows the identities of 5 men who planted the bombs but escaped justice. Next month, a concert will be held for the 21 victims. This week, a new song will be released in their memory. The songwriters say it's time for the truth to come out to give justice to those who died and their relatives. Keith Wilkinson has our top story.
And I hear the cry, and I feel the pain.
A powerful song about a night of disaster. The night 21 people died in the Birmingham pub bombings.
Oh, I hear the cry, and I feel the pain.
These musicians are among those joining growing calls for justice for the 21. 40 years on, it's a mass murder that remains unsolved.
And to think that they were killed and nothing's been done for them, nothing at all. From that day on, November the 21st to today, nothing has been done for them. And hopefully the song will help the public to realise what a big injustice has happened here in the heart of England.
As the 40th anniversary of the bombings approaches on November 21st, West Midlands Police are finding themselves under renewed pressure to find the culprits. The 6 men originally jailed for the atrocity had their convictions quashed amid claims that other men, who were even named in a TV documentary, had made and planted the bombs. Now a former West Midlands police officer is joining calls for the force to reopen the case. This is him in his younger days, and this is his brother, Jimmy Craig. He was killed in the bombings, the last of the victims to die. The retired officer claims to have been told by a senior figure in the force that officers know exactly who killed Jimmy and the others.
And then he said, "I can tell you, Bill, we know who committed the Birmingham pub bombings. There was 5 of them. 2 of them are dead, died some years ago. But you know what it's like, Bill, you were in the job. We have not got enough evidence to put before the Crown Prosecution Service."
Former police constable Bill Craig served with the police in the 1960s and 1980s. In April, he took part in a meeting with the West Midlands Chief Constable and the families of victims. A controversial meeting which was told there was insufficient evidence to reinvestigate the case. The same day, the Chief Constable revealed that police had lost vital evidence that could have given forensic clues, including an entire bomb that didn't go off.
This is the 3rd bomb that is missing.
This is the 3rd bomb.
The retired officer suspects that years ago there was a cover-up to stop the truth coming out.
There is a conspiracy. I don't know what it is, but there is a conspiracy.
West Midlands Police said it had dealt with these issues back in April, when the Chief Constable said nothing would give him more satisfaction than to see the bombers brought to justice. He said the case was not closed, but significant new information would be needed to bring prosecutions.
And I know I can speak for the whole force to say that it's been very much a sort of an open wound since the force was set up, and we would dearly love to be able to bring people to justice for the crime.
Yes, I hear the cry.
This song about the bombings is being released this week. And next month, on the night before the anniversary, many musicians will play at Birmingham Town Hall in a concert for the 21 victims. Keith Wilkinson, ITV News.
On to the rest of tonight's news now, and a policeman has been injured after being shot in the eye with a suspected air gun during an incident in Staffordshire. The officer was shot after being called to a disturbance on Wat Tyler Close in Rugeley last night. He's been treated at Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham. A 34-year-old man has been arrested and is in custody. Images have been released of two men police want to identify following the death of a man at Spark Brook in Birmingham. Police say it could help their investigation into the death of Ikram Ullah Khan, who was stabbed during the disturbance in July. Several men have already been charged with murder and are awaiting trial. Hereford United have been granted another extension to pay off its debts after the club's winding up petition was adjourned until December the 1st. It's been reported that a £1.5 million investment was promised at the High Court to cover the debts. It's the 7th adjournment the club has received. Birmingham City has parted company with manager Lee Clark. The club says the search for a replacement has begun and they wish to make an appointment in the near future. The assistant manager, Steve Watson, has also left the club. Well, now the stars of Tiswas were back in Birmingham, where the show was originally broadcast over the weekend, for a reunion of the children's show, which helped make people like Lenny Henry and Chris Tarrant household names. Most of the stars were there, including, of course, the infamous Phantom Flanflinger. Just to let you know, there are flashy images in Mark Goth's report.
Saturday is Tiswas Day.
40 years ago, an anarchic children's TV show hit our screens. Its stars and their antics became legendary.
It probably did change our lives. It made our careers.
At the weekend, they got back together again, invited by the Tiswas fan club. And no Tiswas reunion would be complete, of course, without the Phantom Flanflinger. No one escaped. Just like on the show.
No, I'm sorry, that's completely wrong.
This was Legs & Co. from Top of the Pops. The flan was one of the hallmarks.
The knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a pie, watch it sailing through the sky. This old dog.
Did you enjoy the enormous kind of fame that came with that?
Yeah, I mean, if we're honest, for me, for Sally, for Lenny Henry, for Bob, Carol G's, for all of us, I mean, it probably did change our lives. It made our careers. And yes, all the stuff of people coming up and bothering you in restaurants, so that's fine. It's part of part of what you do, and it's been like it ever since. But this lot are always an incredibly loyal, the original sort of fan base, You
couldn't go to a restaurant, you couldn't go to a cinema, you couldn't go anywhere without being recognised. And that was nice. It was not saying, stop recognising me. It was nice. But you had no privacy. So if you went on holiday, you had to go somewhere completely different. And Chris and I used to grow beards. When the programme wasn't on, we used to grow beards, hoping we wouldn't be recognised. And people would say, why have you grown a beard? I said, so you can't recognise me. I said, oh, right.
Chris Tarrant was a reporter on ITV Today when he was recruited for Tiswas.
I was doing your job.
You were doing my job. One of us has become hugely successful.
Peter Harris, the first producer, came up to me and said, you can have 25 quid for an extra 3 hours on a Saturday morning. I thought, put me down for that. He said it'll be a quiet linking children's programme. And it sort of was. It's just, I think, that we were mad, and it just developed and grew and grew and grew. I mean, it was never intended to be the huge phenomenon it became, but great.
I love you all. Love you all. And the Queen Mother.
And 40 years on, the fans still love them. Mark Goff, ITV News.
Yes, as Chris used to say, this is what they want. Happy telly memories. Right, on to football. West Brom drew 2-2 at home to Manchester United this evening. The Baggies went ahead with an 8th-minute goal by Stefan Sessenson after United equalised shortly after the break. West Brom reclaimed their lead with Saido Berahino's 66th-minute strike before Daley Blind scored a vital late equaliser for the visitors. Well, the agenda's coming up after this bulletin. Over to Tom Bradby with a look ahead to what's in store.
In just a few moments, I'll have the Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg here to talk about his wife's shock suggestion that some women have been faking things for years. I don't know what she can be talking about. We'll also be looking at love, hate, the coalition, its issues, rebels, and what subjects should and shouldn't be taboo. As I said, the Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg, broadcaster Julia Hartley-Brewer, comedian Dom Jolly and novelist Nikita Lalwani coming right up.
Before that, though, some blustery weather ahead. Here's the forecast with Helen Plint.
Hello again, good evening. Well, already the wind really buffeting out there tonight and some wet weather still to come in the early hours of the morning. But thereafter, a brighter picture through the day. But the trade-off is feeling cooler too. Now, as I say, for tonight, a generally wet picture for all of us, really. Some heavier downpours in that, particularly for those further west who will bear the brunt of it. But generally, the rest will be fairly fleeting because we've got these gale force winds which are really whipping through and churning everything up. The Met Office has issued a weather warning which covers any potential damage caused by those winds, but at least it does mean everything's on the move fairly quickly. So come rush hour tomorrow morning, just seeing the tail end of that. Elsewhere, some brighter breaks and some more showers trundle through in the afternoon. I'll see you later. Good night.
And that's ITV News Central. We're back during Good Morning Britain from 6:25 with half-hourly bulletins tomorrow. Join us then if you can, but for now, good night.